You just gotta start the
I think
video.
there's an order in which you do it. Now I think it's gonna work.
Hold on.
That's
Okay, that's running.
Maybe the time.
no video.
I don't know. It's plugged in here, right?
Yeah,
Plugged in right
I
place
checked
there,
everything.
right place there.
this is on mono, that's on auto.
We get stickers and
Oh
everything.
my, you can't.
Hello, everybody. I don't know.
Do you do anything with this?
No, that changes all the settings.
Yeah.
Don't touch it. I don't know. It's usually never been a problem.
It's usually say it hasn't started. That's how someone wants to do it. Would it normally just say the video hasn't started?
Yeah, you think it's a link? Well, doesn't matter, because it's not.
It's not that? Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't the link.
I'll go check the link.
Maybe the Wi-Fi is.
All right. It's recording, all right?
It's recorded.
Great, perfect. All
So
right, we'll get this started. We're after 7 o'clock. It's 7:01. We'll call to order the select board meeting for Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. First item up is John Weaver. John, if you can just give me less than 5 minutes, I swear we'll move quickly, just as a request to somebody who needs to leave. So I'm going to move up the item dealing with the town landing washout. We'll do that for the second item on our agenda. There has been some washout at the town landing. There's been some discussion about taking care of that. I asked Wayne to be here to just talk about it real quickly, about what's getting done at the landing itself, the above area above by the road, and any issues along the shore that we need to address either near or long term.
Sure, so it seems like Brian delivered a couple yards of dirt to the top of River Road there, so that's what's happening. Recommendation is that somebody look at the sewer drain that's in front of that, because that's causing the washout. But I was gonna go down and spread that, but I'm waiting for Brian to also deliver about 3 yards of that rock.
3/4 rock.
3/4 rock, so if I get that, I can have it back down there and spread it around. Leave all that done once and then plant seeds, but that's what the washout is.
Is up on the upper portion,
Up on the upper portion.
and then you're putting in additional stone down by the ramp just to make sure we don't get more washout there.
Yep, and I talked to the water and sewer department, and they're rebuilding the pump house down there at some point, I don't have a date, sometime in June. So that area right between the landing road, I don't know how much it's gonna be affected, I'm assuming somewhat, because they'll probably take down some of the arborvitae's and stuff around there. But I imagine that's gonna cause some additional work to be done there. I'll talk to Zach about that and see what his thoughts are, but maybe just get some more rock or on an apron around that road, just because that's more water.
Okay.
Other than that, if you guys, somebody talk to Brian and say, where the rock, I'll spread it. And I'll spread the dirt, and then we'll plant some seed.
I've asked him a couple times, I know that he was going to try to do it. This week has been a little busy for everybody, but
We'll take care of
I'll
it.
ask him again. So,
But the bigger problem is that sewer drain up top, because that's what.
the sewer drain on River Road is what is causing the erosion at the
Yeah.
top by the road.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just the way the water is being diverted. Okay. Questions? Members of the board? Bill?
Mike, I think we should, being the stormwater guys,
Yeah.
I think we should be looking at putting a little retention on
Um,
it. We need to pick up that catch basin stuff. 'Cause it's-
You're talking on the landing property itself?
I mean, I think we can get somebody to do a quick one on it. It's just gonna keep on washing out.
I would assume that we do it near the top of the property, because if we can't do it down by the ramp, otherwise we're gonna be creating conflicts with both being hauled in and out of it.
I think we need to pick up one of those 3 trees, the one in the middle, build it to the pond, we gotta slope the road so it goes in the catch basin.
Well, what's funny, Bill, is it's interesting because that sewer, there's a drain right there, that actually goes down there. I don't know if you know where the kayak track is down, that hanging right there. There's an outlet there, I didn't know that, but that's where it goes straight down into the river.
But most of the flow doesn't make it.
Right, because what happened is the road heaved a little bit, so
Yep.
now
It's gotta get flipped.
it's,
Catch it.
yeah, Ryan's
Exactly,
like, well,
instead of
show
going
this
this
the
way, it went this way.
If you chunks away the road and it goes back to where it's supposed to go, not that that's any better, because it goes right into the river, but
And then if you want to talk about the positive side, we get credit for treating.
For treating, yeah, for additional treatment with the retention pond.
yeah, but a pond or
For the general
something.
permit.
But it's all swampy there.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Great, all right,
Thank you.
thanks, Win. All right, next up on the item is discussion regarding Vernon Family Farm. This is based on a series of issues that we were planning on talking about at the last meeting, but really did not have the time to do so. So there's 3 pieces here. I have 3. I don't know if there's any others. The Patterson Cox, the Waxsmiths, and the Gardens. So with that, we had put John Weaver, who's representing the Pattersons, on the schedule for 7 o'clock, and I will open the floor to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is John Weaver. I represent Berkeley Sand, doesn't matter.
Does not,
Okay.
either way.
Okay, thank you. As mentioned, we represent the Patterson, Joe Cox, the Vernon Family Farm property, and relatively shortly into our representation of the family, so I've had a chance to look at the entirety of the record regarding the properties. But our client has identified, and the neighbors, as you mentioned, have identified a number of ways in which the operations at the farm property don't comply with the conditions of approval for the 2022 site plan approval, as well as some of the requirements of the state and the new law. Particularly, I believe the correspondence identifies this, the operation of the restaurant at the property, and then most concerning, I believe, to my client, the noise levels that are produced by certain events at the property. As mentioned in the correspondence that my client sent to the board, it measured volume levels that exceed 85 decibels during certain events. That's particularly concerning because 85 decibels is the level at which OSHA has special guidelines for places of employment, because volumes above that can create long-term hearing problems. So they're particularly concerned about that occurring in their place of residence regularly. The correspondence that you received goes through some more particulars of that. That's the general outline. Really hoping to investigate, collaborate, cooperate, investigate the property for the town to do that, to determine the extent to which the operations there don't comply with those conditions or the existing law. We'd like to collaborate with the town to identify controls and new conditions to be put on the operation so that they can be a boon for both the town, but not be a detriment to the butters and the neighbors, and then cooperate with the town and with the operators of the farm to make sure that the controls are put in place and that the farm can continue operating in a way that really benefits everybody.
All right. Is that
But
for now?
for now,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate that. This is, and just for clarification, the letter you're referencing is the May 22nd, 2024 letter that you sent to the select board regarding the Vernon Family Farm.
I believe that was sent by my colleague, Tom Hildred.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, that's correct. Okay, great. I want to make sure we're all on the same.
And that speaks to some of the other concerns regarding agritourism and how that gets
Yep.
interpreted and
Yep.
applied to the property.
So if you don't mind, what I would like to do is, heard from you, we'll hear from the other abutters who have concerns. We'll open this up for general conversation among the board. So with that, Scott, do you have anything that you want to add to this beyond, you sent a letter in on April 19th?
Yeah, like I said, biggest thing is the site plan requires that all municipal and state permits and approvals have been granted and are, for said use. And a restaurant's not a permitted use in an RA zone in the town of Newfields under section 3.4.13. And then the food service licensure, I did a little extra research into that, and there's been a little back and forth in the past about catering versus a restaurant. So I have these for you. applications to the Department of Health and Human Services. So in the past, there was an argument made that they didn't build a restaurant. So it didn't qualify to be a restaurant. On the second page of the first handout that I gave you, it says, food establishment is 0 to 24 seats. Food establishment / or common restaurant or bar where food is prepared food and has indoor seating capacity of 0 to 24. So seating is not necessary. On the second page, caterers off-site. Food operation prepares meals in a commercial kitchen for service at an off-site location. So if you're going to claim to be a caterer, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, you cook in a commercial kitchen, you keep your food warm or cold, and you bring it to the site, and then you serve it. We've got an issue of what's actually taking place on the property. Then on the second one, this is an application for food establishment floor plan review. And as you can see on here, type of food operation, restaurant, and I've also highlighted other, which would be the catering service. Then down under food operation information, check all that apply, on-site consumption or catering. And then food, once again, the seating numbers. The other thing is, there is outdoor seating. And then food establishment floor plan is required. And then on the next page, hand washing, manual ware washing, service sink, backflow prevention, toilet facilities, which leads into the lack of a state-approved septic system. So that's where I'm at right now.
Quick question on this item, if you don't mind. You've provided us with the generic applications for these from the Department of Health and Human Services.
Correct.
I haven't seen any, and I don't know if you have, any specific licenses or applications that have been filled out for the Vernon Farm. Have you acquired those or no? I haven't seen them, so I'm just asking.
There are licenses, the off-site catering license, I believe is at 44 Amesbury Road in Kensington. The off-site liquor license is at, this is off the top of my head.
Yeah, but my question is, you only have the blank forms right there. Okay.
I don't have that on the paperwork,
That's fine.
but I do know that it exists.
No, I understand. I didn't know if you were showing us this as a comparison to what was applied. That's all.
In the past, there was a discrepancy, or however you want to put it. I say restaurant, they say catering. So,
Understood.
Department of Health and Human Services says, this is what it is. If you're cooking on site, you're a restaurant. That's basically RSA 78A 320 off the top of my head is a restaurant, and catering business is a restaurant. For revenue purposes.
Any other questions at this point in time for either of the two? We'll move on to the jurors if there's none.
Well, I can ask a few questions.
Sure.
So, first of all, you just mentioned that they have a catering license and they have a liquor license, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you're indicating on here, you're trying to define at least that a restaurant is defined by having so many indoor seats, indoor seating capacity?
Restaurant, I'm trying to determine or define that a restaurant has cooking on site.
Okay.
Seating is not required. Indoor seating is not required, 0 to 24.
Okay. And have you seen them cooking on site this year?
For the first event, no.
Okay, just asking.
Hi, I was just wanted to ask.
No,
I thought you were asking.
No. Are you done?
Those are my questions, yeah.
Okay, great. The third complaint that we received was from the Gerards. Lynn is here, great.
Thank you for.
Lynn, I'll let you address.
Yeah, thank you for letting us address our concerns. To keep it timely, I'm just going to read it. First, we want to make it clear that our concerns shared are by no means a personal attack towards the Burnens. Our concerns are completely separate from them as neighbors. In fact, we allow their family to utilize our property to get to and from the rail trail safely. We've had the girls over-groom our horses, jump on our trampoline, and build forts. Our concerns are strictly focused on their business. We moved to Newfields from Stratton 5 years ago. When we moved here, the Vernon Family Farm was a farm store, and they conducted one event a month with rotisserie chicken and acoustic music. During this time, we supported their farm store weekly and attended their events. We even made a generous donation towards their chicken refrigeration. Fast forward 5 years, they are serving alcohol and amplifying music every Friday and Saturday night and holding other events on Thursdays and Sundays. We do like the concept of the Vernon Family Farm business. However, we strongly feel their events need to be conducted in a commercial zone area. The Skasset Road, especially situated around the blind drive where we live, was not built to accommodate the amount of traffic these events bring in. Entering and exiting our home has always been a stress for our family, considering we have young drivers. It was something we knew we would have to live with when purchasing our home. The added traffic due to the events and the simple fact that alcohol is being served within feet of our homes weekly adds to that stress. We purchased our forever home in a residential agricultural zone area. That hasn't changed, and we do feel this added stress is one that residents of Newfield should not have to endure. We have strong concerns in regards to how they are utilizing their conservation land. The conservation easement established in 2004 by the Anderson family clearly states the purpose of the easement is the prevention of any use of the property that will significantly impair or interfere with the conservation values of the property. We are not mechanics, but we do know cars leak oil, gas, and antifreeze. Using conservation land as a parking lot goes against the purposes of this conservation easement. Having property in town conservation, we are expected to uphold the intent of our easement. Annually, the Conservation Commission comes to our property to monitor our land use management and activities. They have always done a thorough job of this on our property. We went to the town to inquire the conservation easement monitoring report for the Anderson Vernon property. When inquiring information, we came across an email to the co-chairs of the Conservation Commission dated 12/5/2022 from Sarah Callahan, who monitored the Anderson Vernon easement. It states that the primary product sold and advertised for the summer community music events is not in fact chicken dinners, but a live music venue. Parking would not be allowed on the easement area if the activities occurring within the outside easement area were determined to be something other than agritourism. What she is saying is that the music events do not fall under agritourism. How is it that the co-chairs of the Conservation Committee are made aware of this and still allow the conservation land to be used as a parking lot? We strongly feel the town needs to uphold the Anderson family intent for this land. Also, we did not find a record of a conservation easement monitoring report of the Anderson Vernon property from the town of Newfield in 2023. On a final note, in regards to agritourism, by law, we cannot adversely impact your neighbor's property. In addition to their events negatively impacting our property value, we feel our family safety is being compromised due to the blind drive, added traffic, and alcohol consumption. We have done a lot of research on agritourism and have learned that agritourism requires business owners to work with their neighbors. Unfortunately, in the 5 years we have lived here, the Vernon Family Farm has never come to us regarding their business plan and has not taken into consideration how their events could negatively impact their neighbors. In fact, due to their lack of transparency, we felt the need to reach out to them last fall to express our concerns. In addition to our conversation last year, I recently spoke with Nicole Vernon. She informed me as neighbors we have not made any compromises. Not only is this an invalid statement, as neighbors we should never have to compromise our family safety. In fact, we have allowed the Newfields Police to park their vehicle on our property during their events for safety purposes. We've had to alter my husband's work schedule on Fridays working on West Coast time and cancel our horseback riding times, just to name a few compromises we have made. Trying to be neighborly ourselves, you can see our frustration when reading a recent social media post from the Vernon Family Farm attacking others for voicing their concerns. This type of behavior goes against the way in which agritourism is intended to be conducted.
Thank you. I have one quick question. So, you have a copy of the conservation easement review that went to the Conservation Commission?
Yeah, I went down to Sue to ask for the monitoring report, just because I get them from me, so I figured they were public record.
Okay, so that's downstairs.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that report, so. And you said there's no 2023 report, is that
No,
correct? Okay.
not that she couldn't find one.
Great, okay. Other questions from the board?
Conservation Commission has some comments. Is that okay?
I'm running the meeting, please. Let me run the meeting.
Well, you asked me a question, so I'm just.
I was asking if the board has any additional questions at this point in time.
Okay. I was deferring to his comment on the Conservation Commission. You were asking a question, so.
All right. Are there any other issues wanting to be raised by the three abutters before we open this up for additional discussion?
Well, there's other issues, but I'm going to take up another meeting.
The only I would add, Mike, was this. I think the towns, we just have to be careful about how far we go with rents, just letting it go, because, I mean, we ourselves own over 20 acres of land. If we just open up and start doing something like this, if some 2 acres do something like this, it just doesn't seem like there's any parameters to stop something like that. It's just, it could just blow up everything. And again, we're not, it's going to feel like it, we're not trying to attack the situation at hand. We're trying to kind of rein it in, because from what it was to what it has become, is a very different animal.
Understood.
Following up on that comment, I think that point is made in the letter that you have from Tom Holder identifying what are the limits of agritourism and how that can be expanded really beyond what the intent of the state statute was and the steps. And it's really a gray area of law in the sense that there aren't a lot of black line rules to clearly define what is within agritourism and what's not. And so the temptation, I think, when there is that gray area is to expand the gray area, expand what's permitted in a way that really isn't consistent with what the intent of the statute was, in a way that doesn't necessarily do a service to the community where it's situated. So I think that kind of following up on that, I would ask the board to think carefully about what agritourism really is and then how its use on this property supports or exceeds that definition of the intent there.
So let me dive in here then on that issue, which I think is a relevant one, and I think the town has been trying to address for the last 2 years. And this started with the planning board review that took place. And a lot of this does center around the issue of agritourism. If you have followed the way agritourism was incorporated into state statutes, and as was mentioned by Mr. Weaver, it is not well defined, and I would argue it is poorly defined. And as such, it makes it very difficult for any consistent definition of activities that are permitted or are not permitted to be identified under the statute language. And this is, I think, what the planning board struggled with when they did their extensive review in their meetings over the past years in coming to the notice of decision. And, this makes it very difficult for any town in the situation, and certainly this one, because the definition truly is in the eyes of the beholder here to some extent. And so what somebody sees as a permissible activity under the agritourism statutes, other people would say that really is not the intent of what the statute was. And this has been raised many times up in Concord, and for reasons unbeknownst to me, the state has really continued to kick the can down the road in trying to better define this. They know that this is an issue. They know that the gray areas within the agritourism statutes are need to be better defined to allow towns to better determine and control what they think is the proper activities, especially when you have farms in residential areas. So we're not going to redefine agritourism here tonight, and we don't even have the authority to define agritourism here tonight. You know, anybody who has a problem with the definitions under agritourism, I encourage you to talk to your state senator, your state rep, or anybody else in the state government, because at the end of the day, that's where that has to get resolved. We don't have the authority under the statutes to aggressively pursue what is or is not agritourism. We don't. And no town in the state has actually been able to achieve that goal. So, let me move on from the agritourism and say,
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to clarify on the agenda, the Overton Family Farm had an opportunity to respond. I wasn't clear on, there's this agenda, and then there's also agenda.
Sure.
item 3-2.
No, we're working through the abutters issues. We're going to talk about what those issues are. We'll certainly provide you with an opportunity to respond.
Thank you.
So the other issues that were raised here, and I'll just briefly touch on those, because I want to kind of take the agritourism issue off the table here, because I don't think we have the purview to do that. You know, the issues at hand are really the issues as outlined, certainly as I see it. I'm not speaking for the board. My opinion as a member of the board is the issues as outlined in the notice of decision. And those center around the noise issue, which the abutters have raised. Last year, the town basically monitored, I would say, about 10 different events. And looking at that data, it certainly seems like noise violations were a regular occurrence. The driveway issue is outstanding, and that is a public safety issue. I would argue that until that driveway is addressed, and even after the driveway is addressed, we're going to have to continue to have some kind of a police presence, given the alcohol on the site, the issues with the road and the blind spots in that road. I don't see any way around that, at least in the near term. The third issue that I think is probably the other key issue under the notice of decision, and there may be others can raise it, is the determination for the facilities and the use of the pavilion. It's of my opinion and town council's opinion that until those issues are addressed, the pavilion can't be used for any of these events. So with that, I will see if there's any other comments from the board.
I'll make a short comment. I think it's important to understand that there are two groups of people that need to be heard here, right? And so neighbors do necessarily need to be heard. I've seen it from both sides. I've actually gone and talked. And I think I'm probably a minority in this room that have actually gone and talked with both sides. So I've stood at the Gerard's property and I've said, okay, it's a little close. I haven't heard the music being played personally, but I can understand that if the music's a little loud, I've gone over to the Vernons and I said, well, perhaps you can maybe lower the music a little bit this year. And your response was, we are toning it down, we are changing the frequency. So they are trying to comply as well. So that's the one thing I did see. I understand. I am not being dismissive on the neighbor's side. I understand where you're coming from. Okay? So there has to be some kind of compromise, right? I would ask that as you start to see these events unfold, check. Let's see if the noise ordinance is. I mean, first of all, they're not doing anything unlawful, right? So That's all I really can say. There's nothing that can be enforced as being illegal, right? But at the same time, the neighbors should be heard, right? I think that's fair enough, okay? So I don't want you to feel like, oh, well, let's just dismiss your points, okay? That's fair enough. That's it. That's all I have to say on that.
Mr. Weaver, and Amy, I'll get to you in 1 second.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just a point of clarification, and I don't disagree with a lot of what you said in terms of finding ways in which all the parties can coexist together. I do think, though, that the noise violations reflect a lot of behavior that's prohibited by the noise ordinance, the noise bylaws, and we feel Karen was fine, and as the chair mentioned, there were clear violations of that in the past year. So I would push back on the characterization that nothing unlawful has occurred, but that was my point.
Amy,
Thank you.
you want to address these issues?
I submitted a letter, got hard copies to the board, and I should bring one for Attorney Weaver if you want to share one with Tom. Thank you, I appreciate it. Just to respond to, I'm going to try to respond to all of these issues as quickly as possible. Most of them we've already touched on. I don't see a lot of new issues here. The summary is the farm is not doing anything unlawful. They're not violating any conditions of approval. They're conducting agritourism and farming in accordance with all the applicable laws and their December 8th, 2022 agritourism and pavilion approval. I'm getting into the details real quick here. So we've identified the 4 correspondents, what the chair has identified here. 2 on behalf of Ms. Patterson and Mr. Cox, and then 1 on behalf of Gerards and 1 on behalf of the Waxmans. And in response, what we have to say is just a reminder that agritourism has been occurring on this property since the Vernon started farming it in 2014. So we've had agritourism activities for 10 years. I'm not saying they haven't changed over those 10 years, but agritourism has been occurring for 10 years. And I just want to say, as you started to say, the Vernons care deeply about their community, including all of their neighbors, and they are making efforts to make it work. They could have had more events last year than they had. They could have more events this year than they're planning to have, but they're not. They are decreasing the frequency of events. They're having less events this year than they had last year. And when they have those events, they're out there scurrying around with their own sound meter that they've purchased, measuring the decibels, and continuously making arrangements to be diligent about not violating the noise ordinance, which limitation was incorporated into that December 2022 approval. And now I am aware, because I sort of heard murmurings and got a copy of the meter readings that the town made, but my understanding of those meter readings is that that meter was placed across the street from the farm, and there was no methodology to separate out sounds from cars driving past, rider lawnmowers, concert, music that might have been playing, music from other sources, or agritourism against events at Vernon Family Farm. So I'm not saying that there's never been a noise violation. I just am saying that we don't know that for certain.
Amy, do you want me to address that now, or would you like me to wait till the end?
At your pleasure, go for it.
So the noise monitoring actually took place in 2 places. It took place on the Patterson property line, and it took place across the street. We did it we used a noise monitor that took the proper, fast and slow. We used the slow data collection. We did it every 10 seconds. It was actually 5 feet versus the 4 feet requirement above the ground. And you're correct, you can't filter out the other issues, but what is very clear when you basically look through the data, is that there are periods mostly between, 5 or call it 6 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock at night, where every 10 seconds it's in violation of the noise ordinance. And so it's clear what is going on. Without a doubt, when they are done, it goes back to mostly being under that, but you will see periodically a 10-second spike, which is, to your point, a car driving by or a motor going off. But what is very clear in the data is that there are consistent violations at the time periods over long periods of time. And again, last year we collected this to basically understand what the noise violations are if they are taking place. I think the data is pretty conclusive that they were in violation of the noise ordinances. We didn't take action last year. We were collecting the data, but clearly this is an issue that needs to be addressed, in my opinion. And if required, the town is going to have to basically come in, get professional monitors. If we go down that road, though, you know as well as I do, if there's a violation, you're talking about, well, now we're going to have to fine, now we're going to have to look at cease and desist if it's continuous. So I'm not saying that the data collected is ironclad, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying, and what you should be aware of, is I think that anybody who goes in and collects noise data, similar to what we did last year, if they're doing this as they did last year, you're going to see continuous violations and we'll have a problem.
I appreciate the explanation.
Yeah.
A lot of what I've done in this letter is sort of pointed to other things that the town has in their record, and so just on point number 2 here about Nicole and Jeremiah and their caring about the community. And I want to point out that at the meeting in connection with their site plan.
Excuse me. Phyllis, don't do that. Sorry.
Their site plan amendment application in the fall of 2022, they submitted a personal statement dated October 12, 2022. So if anyone wants to read more about their personal feelings about the farm, their land, their community, they can look that up. And I have to mention that the neighbors can't have it both ways here. The picture they paint is that the farm's agritourism events can just be unbelievably bad at sometimes, debaucherous. And yet, at other times, I'm told that the neighbors sometimes set up chairs in their lawns to enjoy these events, that they invite guests over to enjoy the events, that at times they've come over to tip the band performing at these events. And so, absent actual evidence of any safety concerns, absent any actual evidence of any decrease in property value, and property values anyway are a matter for Superior Court, they can't have it both ways. It can't be unbelievably bad and so enjoy them and invite your friends over. And now turning to some of the specifics here. So I want to remind the board that the Conservation Commission, in performing its due diligence on all the same issues that have been raised in these correspondences, received advice of counsel, and that's dated 1/5/17, for anyone who wants to look that up, that the farm's agritourism likely did not violate the terms of the conservation easement. I also addressed that in one of my correspondences to the town in a letter dated 12/2/22. And all these dates are included in today's letter. The town and the farm, I'm sorry, I welcome questions as we're going along.
Thank you. You're saying that the review for the agritourism took place in 2017 to review whether the activities were in compliance?
Yes,
But there's
because
been
agritourism has been occurring at the
No,
farm for years.
understood, but
Yes.
there hasn't been anything more recent than that. I'm just asking.
Not as far as I know.
Okay.
Like I understand the
Yep.
board received a formal memo tonight,
Right.
a
And the reason I ask is, we all know, activities in 2017 were very different than the activities today.
I'm not
So
aware
I just
of
want,
those
okay,
since
that's
then.
all I need to know. Thank you, Amy.
So on the decision, the site plan approval decision being final, the town and the Vernons are in agreement on that. The farm extensively documented the farm's efforts at satisfying the conditions of approval, many of them, 23. After that, the planning board had a meeting on 5/11/23 where they decided that the site plan approval was final. And they issued a notice of decision dated 5/11/23 that the decision was final, subject to the remaining conditions subsequent. And because the approval has been final since 5/11/23, over a year ago, or earlier, as we have been advocating, it is far too late to see what is being asked for in part tonight, to revoke it, to modify it, to review it. These are all just separate ways of asking for an appeal. Appeals have a 30-day deadline after the decision is final. And I want to point out, no part of the planning board's determination in May of 2023 that the decision had become final. No, moving on to cease and desist. No basis exists for this board to right now issue a cease and desist because the farm is not violating any aspect of the approval and it's not violating any other applicable legal requirement. Much of that 5/8 letter that I talked about, the 5/8/23 letter, which is in the town's files, noted all of the inspection-related processes that the farm has gone through as it relates to those conditions 1 and 2 on the planning board approval. And I list all those in this letter, but I'm just not going to go through those now for time. And as we recently explained in my correspondence from April 15th, 24, the sole remaining issue out of all of that is that septic has not been completed. That's the only issue. And it's only septic to be able to perform agritourism in the pavilion. And that was actually us who told town council, therefore, agritourism events will not be occurring in the pavilion. So we are all in agreement on that point.
Amy, did not the building inspector say he would not give you an extension on not having a septic system if it wasn't in by date? Therefore, there would be no use of the pavilion. So in fact, it was the building inspector who relayed that information to us. It did not come from you guys.
No, that is not an accurate recitation.
That was my conversation with him, which he relayed to me.
Okay. Driveway permit. The farm obtained its amended driveway permit on May 22nd, 23, in satisfaction of condition of approval 2A. After we got that driveway permit, the town required a stone wall removal agreement, which we entered into with the town. We signed that on 8/19/23. DOT, in its infinite wisdom, after months of town council and I knocking on its door, continued to refuse to sign it. So what we did was the town and the farm agreed to have the DOT amend the permit and simply acknowledge that the town and the farm have a stone wall removal agreement, which they did on April 8th, 2024, and the farm now has until May 22nd, 2025 to complete the driveway relocation.
I'm sorry, what took place on April 8th, 2024?
April 8th, 2024 is when the Department of Transportation issued a re-amended
Oh, okay, they extended the permit, okay,
a second time.
yep.
And now it specifically acknowledges our stone wall removal agreement.
And what's the timing now under the extended or new?
5/22/25.
5/25, okay.
Yeah.
Another,
So that one.
another year,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
The farm is not a restaurant. Nothing that happens at the farm constitutes a restaurant. We addressed that issue extensively during the site plan approval process, including a 12/2/22 letter with extensive citations to all of the state regulations and state statutes. And by virtue of the planning board granting that site plan approval, they accepted that nothing occurring at the site constitutes a restaurant.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it the zoning board that actually gave the approval for that, not the planning board?
No,
Okay.
no, the zoning board, actually, thank you, it's a perfect segue. The only equitable relief the farm ever needed,
With the setback?
yes,
Yep, okay,
was
thanks.
for the setback of the pavilion. And the farm obtained that on March 22nd, 23rd. It was conditional, but it had nothing to do with any of this. It was just that the town, the farm, maintain a fence, same height, length, equivalent material to the existing fence. So they can't ever take down what's there. They gotta keep it the way it is.
And they, correct me if I'm wrong, but they also received a waiver for the setback violation of the pavilion when it was built. Zoning board basically,
We're saying the same thing.
okay,
We're saying it's just one waiver for the
Yep.
setback
Yep.
of the pavilion.
yeah.
And then the last point that I want to make here tonight, and this is the most important point, it's just the need for finality for everybody. For this board, for the planning board, and for the farm. We all need the issues that have been brought up tonight, and brought up before, and brought up before that, again and again, to be put behind us. These issues are not new. They keep being repackaged and repurposed and brought up again and again. What we need to do is to keep moving forward with this robust set of conditions that the planning board painstakingly crafted. They're reasonable, they're prudent, and they set up appropriate guardrails for this agritourism use. I put it in my letter, I'm not gonna go through it all now, suffice to say that the New Hampshire Supreme Court, the New Hampshire treatises in the New Hampshire common law establishes the doctrine of finality and its importance. We need to be able, when we have a site plan approval in December of 2022, move on from that. So thank you for the opportunity to respond. I appreciated the questions as we went along. I'm happy to field any further questions that come up tonight.
Any questions on the board?
No, just
I have a comment. I mean, we're looking at two separate theaters. One is of a courthouse, and the other one is of a compromise. And I think what we're trying to do this year, I've only been at this a month and a half, 2 months, or whatever, that I've actually gone to talk to the Vernons, gone to talk to the Gerards. I'd be happy to talk with you as well, sir. Come on over and talk with you and hear your concerns. That's the idea. And I will gladly pass that on to them as well. I've gone there and talked with them. I've said to them, let's just stay within compliance. We talked about the sign, for instance. And they said, well, they said you can't have a sign. Yes, you can. You can have a sign. But you just have to stay within compliance, right? So sometimes things just need to get translated. That's at least my own opinion. I'd be happy to continue this compromise instead of the courthouse, but you have it as you choose. I mean, that's your choice.
Well, let me just say, I think that the process that the planning board went through with the notice of decision was the town actually working through with the Vernons and their attorney as to the issues that needed to be addressed, how they would be addressed. But it is still the responsibility of the board to make sure that things are followed, right? So as Ms. Manzelli mentioned, there's the septic issue that's outstanding. We need to make sure that that's complied with. There's a driveway issue, which is certainly a safety issue, which it comes under the purview of this town and this board. The noise issues in the town ordinances. So it is not that we can just, we pass a notice of decision and we don't care whether it's complied with or not. Our responsibility, our compromise, to be perfectly honest, was that notice of decision. And I think that, I certainly have issues with that, other people have issues with that, but that's the notice of the decision that the town has right now. Our job as a board is to ensure that the town and the Vernons comply with the terms of that notice. And I mean, clearly issues were raised by the abutters, by several abutters. We're addressing that tonight. And, you know, this is our job. And so I would argue that there's been compromise throughout this process already. I'm sure there will be continue to be compromise as we go through this process. But we're not going to shirk our duty in making sure that the agreements between the town and the Vernons is worked out and adhered to. That's our responsibility. All right, I will open this up for the general public, but let me go quick. Lynn?
Mr. Billy had mentioned you're reviewing the site plan, 2022 from the planning board. I'm looking at it right now, and I was hoping you could show me where the bar and the kitchen were on the site plan. Because I'm not sure how we can vote on approving something when it's not even accurate. I don't see it anywhere in this question.
You want to answer the question?
Yeah, typically I'll come to go to the chair, and then if the chair wants.
Sure, she asking for me.
Yeah,
You
the
want to
entire
address?
application package is comprised of, 100 pages of narrative as well as the visual plan. And so in the narrative, it's explained that there are 12 stools inside the pavilion.
To serve every bar?
There's no bar.
There is a bar. You're serving all the
Hey,
bar.
please, I'm going to be a stickler tonight.
Sorry.
So
That's my.
questions are coming through here. No applause, no hooting and hollering, please. There's a lot to go through. You all set?
I am.
Okay,
Scott?
to your point, you're new, okay? There's been a lot of talk, rich people moving into town, they move next to a farm. I moved into town in '99, okay? Been living at, on Piscasset Road, 306 Piscasset Road, for 23 years. I think I've established it.
Yes.
Okay. In 2014, when the Vernons purchased their property, everything was fine, right? Then we started to have a little problem. Just because you're new, okay? So first issue was, we ended up having a gentleman living in one of the old buildings. Okay, brought up the planning board meeting, Jeremiah said it was a detached bedroom. There's no such thing as a detached bedroom. We brought up about septic facilities. He claimed that the gentleman was using the facilities in the house. I've got pictures of him walking out with his 5-gallon bucket first thing in the morning. Okay? Let's be realistic here. He was asked to stop that practice. He would not stop that practice. It ended up in a cease and desist order from the city. Okay? Ms. Manzelli said that agritourism has been there since 2014. I'm unaware of any actual agritourism activities that happened in 14, yeah, in 15, maybe not 14. So that was the first one that rubbed me the wrong way. Okay, cars going in and out of there all hours of the night. Okay, waking my grandson up. Headlights. Anytime the car is going back towards town, the headlights sweep across the master bedroom and my grandson's bedroom.
Is it your house that has a light shining in your
Excuse me,
bedroom every night?
Jones,
Is that your house?
stop, please, Jeremiah. Thank you.
So, like I said, when they moved in, everything was fine. We got accused of not being neighborly, we got accused of not introducing ourselves. That it's not true. My wife went across the street and introduced herself.
That is a lie. I'm sorry, that is a lie.
That is-
Those are what you keep Brad to keep you, and that is what we found out on the road. You got married to your wife at Kingsbury Road, which is the name of my daughter. You are lying.
I do not want to go down this road.
He is lying.
No. My wife and I did get married on Kingsbury Farm. Right? Yes, they did. Yes, we did.
Let's just, so I'm trying to follow you.
Okay, well, I got a little sidetracked there, okay? So, like I said, everything was fine, right? We were accused of not being neighborly, okay? I just blew it off, thought somebody's having a bad day, right? Then we get to, the person living in the outbuilding. What's up with that? Okay?
Chair, I do want to object at this point, but it's totally irrelevant.
Okay, I'll move-
I was gonna say the same thing.
Fine, I'll move along, okay?
Let's move along
Just
to the
to
relevant discussion at
clearly
hand.
state that there's been nothing, breaking the law. Number 13, no restaurant use of the property shall be made unless all required municipal and state permits and approvals have been granted for said use, including but not limited relief from the zoning ordinance to the Newfield ZBA site and the site plan review to the Newfield Planning Board. Well, there was a site plan, but there was no relief through the ZBA in regards to a restaurant. Restaurants, as I said before, are only allowed in a commercial zone in the town of Newfield. Relief was needed. All last season, there was cooking going on in that structure. I call it a restaurant, they call it a pavilion, we call it a ham sandwich, okay? Cooking was going on. It's not the Department of Health and Human Services description of a restaurant to say, excuse me, of a catering business to say, oh, we can just cook on site. Okay? If you're gonna cater, you're cooking in a commercial kitchen, you either bring the food hot, cold, both, or whatever, and then you distribute it. So, another thing here, like I said, with the other things that haven't been done, you know, any speakers used for, this is number 80. Any speakers used at the events for music, entertainment, or other purposes shall be directed away from the surrounding properties and shall be mounted off the ground by at least 3 feet. Okay? So I believe that Mrs. Patterson had a problem with one of the speakers, so now the speakers point towards my property instead of pointing opposite Route 87. So there's still an issue there. Number 9, vegetation buffer that was supposed to be installed, that hasn't been done. And then the fact that number 17, Vernon Family Farm shall ensure that other entities, if any, utilizing the property or providing services and the operations thereon will comply with these conditions. Well, Vernon Kitchen LLC is a totally separate entity. Okay? It does not enjoy agriculture. Okay? It is not the farm. And with the same owners, they had to know that they weren't in compliance. So it is a poor misrepresentation of what is actually taking place on here to say that there are no violations.
Okay. Thank you. Amy, do you want to address any of that?
I just wanted to make a procedural objection that Mr. Waxman has already had this turn to lodge complaints. But yes, thank you. We stand by our statement that there are no violations. I'm not going to repeat anything I've already said.
No, that's fine.
We have retained all of the required zoning rules. And one thing I did forget to say is food licensing is one of those things that is outside of the purview of municipal
Yes, it is.
regulation. That is a state regulation.
Yep.
So I,
As I mentioned before,
Yeah.
food licensing, liquor licensing come under the purview of state departments. And while we're cognizant of their decisions and notices, we have no authority whatsoever with respect to determining if somebody is or is not in compliance. That's the responsibility of the Liquor Commission and/or the Health and Human Services Department that issues those licenses.
and we've kept.
Just so everyone's on
Yeah.
clear about it.
And the town has on file copies of things that we have filed for those state licensures. Please be cognizant of specific applications. Thank you.
Jackie?
Are you willing to say then that the Vernons are not running a restaurant based on what you just said? That municipalities have no say over whether?
I don't make the definitions of restaurant. That is state statute, and I'm not going to sit here and make a determination of that. I don't think that's in this board's purview whatsoever. That is defined by state statute. That is defined by the regulations at the state. Right now, I couldn't say one way or the other, and I'm not willing to say that at this point in time. But, you know, if somebody has an issue with that, if somebody thinks that a misdefinition is being made, this really falls under the food licensing more than anything else. That's gonna be for determination of the State Health and Human Services Division of Licensing to make that determination. We don't write those definitions. Yeah?
I just wanted to bring up, because there was, a concern about the DBA being, potentially unsafe, and just a quick Google search, on OSHA's website, in an occupational setting, I don't know the town ordinance, but in an occupational setting, meaning people who are repeatedly exposed to, every day to potentially harmful levels, it says that the permissible exposure limit in an 8-hour time period, the noise level of 90 dBA is permissible, and then it actually goes on to say that time exposure is reduced by half for each 5 dBA increase, and it says, for example, if workers were exposed to noise for 4 hours, the exposure limit would be 95 dBA. So I don't see how 4-hour events just on weekends at 85 dBA could be deemed permanent.
The issue at hand is really not the definitions of harmful or not. The issue at hand is the town ordinance and the requirements under the town ordinance.
Right, and I don't know the town ordinance, I was just saying.
No, that's fine. Yep. Sure.
So I just read the town ordinance for staff for the noise, and in no place does it actually list
It does. It actually is in the building, as,
Page 11.
yeah, it's section 4.7 of the building zoning and land use.
16.
I have it right here.
Does it have like a time limit on it?
There's a day and a nighttime limits. The two limits are different. Under commercial uses, daytime is 65. Under residential, it's 60. Under commercial nighttime, it's 55, and for residential, it's 50.
Is nighttime
between
10
10 to 7.
No, nighttime is defined as after 8 p.m. So, and again, I provided Amy the data. I can haul it out at a future meeting if people want to look at it. There was clear violations of the ordinance last year over these timeframes. The larger issue is, if there continues to be a noise problem, we will end up having to basically haul somebody in here, professionally monitor it, use that certified data, and if it's a problem, at that point in time, we'll have to issue fines and deal with it. I prefer not to. I prefer that they comply with the ordinance. From the very beginning, this is about complying with the existing ordinances. And this is where we ran into the problem, okay? Because they came and asked forgiveness, not permission. They came and violated the ordinances first, and then came here and said, we're sorry, can we continue doing what we're doing? We are trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube and do it in a manner that recognizes what the ordinances are trying to do, but make sure that they are in compliance with the ordinances which affect us all, the abutters, them, and everybody else in town. So what I'm trying to say here is, I think the town is trying to be responsible here. But compliance with the ordinances is going to be required. Sir?
I just want to say, one, I appreciate the clarity in what you're saying there, but what we were just talking about was the misleading information.
I get it.
The way that it sounded.
No,
it's going to harm someone when that's not true.
At the end
I
of the
understand the ordinance.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is an ordinance issue. It's not an opinion about whether this activity is harmful or not. It is, are you complying with the state laws on food service? Because that's a health and safety issue. Are you complying with the DOT requirements for traffic? It's a health and safety. Are you complying with the ordinances, the signage ordinances, and everything else that every other business in town has to comply with? That's what we're trying to do here. We are trying to make sure that the agreement of the notice decision is complied with. I get it. Some people are reading things differently, reading agritourism definitions. Some of those are out of our purview. Let me just leave it at that. Yes?
I would really like to see the town then defend the Vernons for all the work that they've put in trying to comply and compromise and come to the table so that when angry neighbors who are never going to change their opinions come and try to put stuff on the agenda, you say, look, we have spent the last number of years working with them. They are coming to the table with everything they have to try to work this out and protect them a little bit. Because you can't
can appreciate that, but the town has to be a neutral arbiter in this. Our job is not to take sides. Our job is to say, is there compliance or is there not compliance? Okay, if there's not, how do you propose to get into compliance? Is there a way to go before the town and change something? Our job is not to defend people, and I want to make that clear.
Defend your site plan then that you approved. That's the better way to say it.
Well, I could say that they're in violation of the noise ordinances, and so it's a problem. I'm not going to sit here and defend one side or another if there's violations here. Look, we're not coming down right now on the Vernons, even though, personally, I think they made violations of the noise ordinances last year. We haven't said boo yet. I think this meeting is making clear they need to address that, and if they don't, there will be a problem. They know they have to get the septic addressed. If they don't get the septic addressed, they can't use that pavilion, period. If they don't get their driveway done, that's a problem. Our job is to discuss these things and be neutral arbiters and make sure the law is followed. That's our job. It's not to take sides. Trust me, you don't want board members to start playing favorites in town. You don't.
You know what, I'll just respond real quick.
No, I'm sorry.
One second. Those are all fair statements.
Yeah.
Those are fair statements. Have to be in compliance, and I think we're getting there, are we not?
Absolutely.
So, those are fair statements, for sure. And listening to the neighbors is also part of the program here. So, yes, if the speakers were pointed at the street and it was blasting, I was never there to witness that, but, so maybe we could tone it down a little bit. I think it was a pretty chill little a venue that you had just on Saturday, right? Did you hear, was there music blasting across the street?
Hit over 70 decibels at one point.
He yelled over to turn it up at one point.
Okay. Don't do that, please. Don't. Sir.
So I spent 3 years as a sound engineer actually for a race car group over in western New York. And one of the key things that came up in that group, especially after year 2, was sound ordinances. And we had to follow very strict rules to monitor the noise that required the microphone be set at a certain space, a certain distance away from it, and monitored nonstop with somebody standing there recording each incident that went up and over the particular limit. Without someone providing any of that monitoring data and arbitrarily interpreting it, becomes subjective at best, and arguably removes all neutrality based on the way that you're describing the results of those results.
But that's why we're not enforcing any of that.
So-
We did that to
but
basically
I
get it
understand
understood. Wait.
No. I get to talk because you have taken up all of my opportunity to share what I just had to say.
Okay, wait, let me make clear.
Which was very
Stop,
clear
sir.
that you
Stop.
guys
Stop.
moved
Let me make
neutrality
clear
by
here.
simply trying
Let
to
me make
interpret
clear
the data
here.
in your own-
Let the people speak.
That's not how this works. And Amy, I know you know this to be true. Everything comes through the board. The board is not required to hear any of this. We are doing it politely. If the board chooses to make a comment or make a statement, it's because they're the only ones who technically participate in these meetings. We're opening it up for the public. I have no problem doing it, but don't try to tell the board how to run the meeting. That is a no, okay? That is improper. Don't do it. I request that. Thank you. Now, if you want to continue, continue.
Your statement that the board's responsibility is to remain neutral is a farce. If you are going to take data that's collected improperly, interpret it subjectively, and use it to your own benefit. So, unless you choose to acknowledge that data was not collected in a proper and accepted manner, you can't use that sitting up there at that desk and tell me that what you are doing is remaining fair and balanced.
Again, the point I made earlier was we collected data to get an understanding of the noise level. We took no action on that data. I would even advise that we take action on that data. It was to indicate to this board and to the town as a whole, do we believe there may be a problem? And actually, based on that data, sure, someone can look at that and say, yeah, there may be a problem. If we think that we want to move forward, will we have to do this in a certified manner? We certainly will, if we think that's a problem. But your contention that the data should be absolutely ignored, I think is a bad statement to make. I think it's fair and totally within this board's purview to collect data and make a determination, do we need to really look further into this? Or is this a non-issue? And I think the data was pretty indicative. We probably need to better look at this and make sure that they understand they may not be in compliance. And if the noise complaints continue, based upon the information that we got from the data from last year, yeah, we'll hire somebody certified to do it.
For clarity, as a follow-up, for clarity, that is a change in your position.
I don't
Because
think it's a change in
your
at
original
all.
statement said the Vernons have clearly violated the noise ordinance. And just now you acknowledged that that data needs to be used
So last-
subjectively.
I believe they violated the noise ordinances last year. It's not based on certified data, it's based on a large collection of data that was clearly over the decibel limits.
And actually, we spoke with the Vernons last fall, and they actually acknowledged what they were going over. They knew, and they acknowledged Jeremiah himself stated that it's very hard to control amplified music. So you have the wind coming, you have a lot of different parameters to control amplified music. And personally, I really don't think they're going to be able to control it being amplified. In fact, you said it was kind of quiet this past. We weren't home, but it set off our ring camera. So I don't know, but it's violating town ordinances in regards to noise. Is that considered trespassing? I'm not sure. Because
I don't think there's a trespassing.
well, my point to this is, I think I read it somewhere. I'm not trying to be. No, I honestly did. I'm not sure legally, but I thought I did read somewhere that loud music is trespassing. However, I'm just trying to prove a point that it's setting off our ring cameras.
Yep, I understand. And look, I think everybody is aware, noise is a serious issue here. Noise needs to be addressed, and if at a point in time, the town thinks that it's not being addressed properly under the notice of decision, we'll go out and collect data. I think you guys know, we don't want to go down that road.
I think that,
Oh, Amy.
it's abundantly clear, and we've
Yep.
already said, we've already taken measures.
Oh,
So,
understood.
message received.
No, I think it's been clear. So,
Sorry, just a quick point on the trespass issue. There have been people from the concerts that have wandered onto my client's property.
no,
Which is an actual, we can debate.
that's an actual trespass.
We could debate whether that qualifies as a trespass or not, legal lines and disagree, but I want to point out that there has been actual trespass.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Excuse me, I've had my hand up for 8 minutes and 3 seconds. You called on multiple people before me. Last meeting, we talked about respect. Michael?
Gail,
No,
I'm
no,
not,
you
Gail,
can't, no.
Gail,
No,
I can't.
slam it.
Gail,
You're
I'm not,
childish.
Gail, I'm
You're
not,
childish, stop.
I'm not going down this road with you, Gail. Gail, you have sat here and called me a misogynist and thrown out words like white privilege in the middle meeting.
What?
You've
I
been
did not.
disruptive
Oh,
in prior
please.
meetings. Gail, I'm not going down the road
Okay,
with you
then
on
I'm gonna
this.
change the
If you
topic.
want to talk about what the topic at hand is, feel free.
Okay, so Michael, my question to you is this. We have a protocol, I'm Gail Davis, 131 Old Lee Road. We have a protocol that you established years ago. When people want to speak in this meeting, they say their name and their address. I'm in the back, I can't see everyone, I don't know the back of people's heads. Okay? The other thing is that we're going to agree to disagree on this for ad infinitum. Can we please get an arbitrator? So that, first of all, the Vernon Family Farm is not spending oodles and oodles of money, and the town is not spending money beyond, I mean, it's beyond ridiculous at this point. We keep coming back to the same thing over and over again. I'm not in a butter, but guess what? I have a noise complaint because my dog freaked out on Saturday at the field and on Sunday with the fireworks. Okay, we all can have complaints, but we live in a tiny town together. Can we please find a way to get along, to support our neighbors? We're never gonna all agree. You know, you say it's black, I say it's white. You know, whatever it is, but I'm just asking. If you establish a protocol for these meetings, adhere to it. People that are speaking should stand, say their name and where they're from. Because if you are not a Newfields resident, you should be the last to speak in this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to address the physical personal trespass issue, and perhaps the officer who's here tonight can clarify. But my understanding is that that might have been like what I was saying earlier, the interfering rider lawnmower or the truck driving by, that actually didn't have anything to do with one of the Vernon Farm agritourism events. And I haven't seen any evidence to the contrary, so I just wanted to make sure to get that in the record.
I'm not sure what you're referencing directly. Are you talking about physical trespass?
Yeah, people wander on the property
During events?
And our understanding is that it may have been coincident at the same time as the events, but they were not attendees or participants or any way associated with the farm.
Our understanding is that it was, that there were people, yeah.
We will not arbitrate that issue right now. Any other comments?
Just going to clarify that I'm not debating the noise data at all. I'm debating the neutrality claim of the board. So in this case, I think that I just wanted to wrap that up, and I don't necessarily see that anything other than fair and balanced is the way forward with both sides.
Okay.
Who are you, please, sir?
My name is Todd Gerdot. I live at 88 Old Lee Road, and I'm actually a vendor for the Vernon Family Farm. So any infraction, any impedance of their stuff actually affects me too.
Totally understand. Have you taken the opportunity to read the case on the Vernon Family Farm and its relationship with the town?
I haven't actually. I've tried to stay out of it, unfortunately. So I will take the time to read it now.
And it's all available. You go downstairs, talk to Sue. Everything is public record. It's available.
Yeah, I'm going to grab all the information and read through it because it's actually one of my more favorite pastimes to do.
Because one of the things that we've seen, especially this week, is people taking bits and pieces of information, not having read any of the file, which goes back numerous years,
For sure.
and then making decisions and conclusions based on something that somebody typed up.
Oh, I totally get it, and I understand.
So
and I respect
when
it.
you make an observation about the board not being fair and balanced, it would be helpful for all parties that would make such an allegation, be cognizant of all, and it's transpired for the past 5 or 7 years.
Absolutely, I understand.
So
Actually, I
that
have a PhD in
allegation is so
engineering, so I actually understand how these things work in terms of noise, which is why I brought that up.
And that's why I appreciate any
I'm
expertise at
engineer
all.
for the Sports Park Club of America, so it is relevant in my specialty, and my expertise. It does play a role here, which is why I feel like it was okay for me to speak without understanding fully the case file. With all of that said, I do plan on reading all this, just like I took the time to click on the website and read the noise ordinance, which is clearly marked noise ordinance as the link, and under which the 5-page document, you told me it was 11 or more.
No, it's on page 11.
Yeah, but it's only 5 pages to the link. And what I just read, there's not a single.
It's in the building, zoning, and land use ordinance.
Yep, so, right, so there's a
Because
separate.
this is, as commercial activity, there are
There's a
requirements.
separate ordinance that's not linked, and that's not clearly listed on the website. So I'm gonna take some time to do some research on that too, to make sure. No, I understand, I'm sure it's available. I'm not debating that at all. I'm just saying, it's not there where it says noise ordinance as the link for me to click on it. I can pull it up for you right now. I got it.
Oh, no, that's fine.
All right. Any further comments at this point in time? Scott?
So, are you going to tell us what you believe the decibel limit should be?
Well, I think it's in the zoning ordinance.
Because I'm of the opinion that it's 60 during the day. When you look at table 1, maximum permissible sound pressure level for use districts. Use districts, we have,
Well, then I will say this, if there's a conflict between the two, I'm gonna have to ask, either legal counsel or the town planner, because the maximum permissible sound pressure, under use districts listed in the building ordinances, seems to be different. We'll find out.
my point is, when you look at table 1 versus 3.1 zoning districts, you have 2 different types of residential. You have residential village, you have residential agricultural, but they're residential. Then you have commercial and industrial. Those are the ones that we have decibel limits for. Then when you look at this, it says commercial and industrial zones, and then you look underneath. In those zones, if you're an industrial use, it's 70 during the day. If you're a commercial use in those zones, it's 65. But in the village and in the residential agricultural, they all fall under residential.
Again, I'm not gonna make any declaration about this, I think we'll have to take this under advisement.
Okay. Once again, like I said, use districts is what it says, not district uses.
Understood. Yes.
I have to make a comment about the noise. We're neighbors, not the butters, but very close. 258. And we've noticed a huge difference. We don't hear the music anymore. We used to. And it's been like most of last season, and definitely the 2 or 1 event they've had this year. Haven't heard it.
Couldn't hear it on Saturday.
So I believe they are working really hard on the
Compliant.
compliance. Is there a light ordinance in town?
There are commercial lighting requirements that apply to commercial buildings in town, not residential.
Not residential.
No. All right. So at this point in time, again, I think the issue at hand is compliance with the notice, the activities that are going on. Obviously, the noise issue will be an outstanding one that, like any other business, right? I mean, in all honesty, if the winery ends up creating some problems, we're gonna hear from the neighbors, we're gonna have to address that. If the Fire and Spice, or actually, what is it, Muddy River Smokehouse, I totally anticipate issues coming up with them as a business. So, look, as any other business, there are, the town will have to continuously address this. I think the critical issues here are the compliance with the notice of decision and making sure that that is done as agreed to. So with that, I'll see, are there any other final comments on this?
I don't think so.
All right, well, we'll continue to monitor this, continue to communicate with you. Obviously, there's some other issues, I'm gonna check on what noise district is relevant here. But, we'll stay in touch, and I assume that the pavilion is not going to be used until such time that it is in compliance.
You already have that in from us, and that is a safe assumption.
Great. All right. Yep.
Amy, do you have a tentative, I understand you had to redo the test pits and redo the septic design?
Yes.
And redo the layout because of encroachment onto the conservation easement? Do you have a date in mind?
No, the issue in the holdup is that we may need to install a new well. That's the issue on the holdup on the septic.
Okay, because I talked to Mike Cuomo this morning, and Mike, I asked him about the new pits, the new test pits. And when he approved the previous septic design, I asked him as far as relationship implied in regards to conservation easement. He called the designer said not an issue. And then he represented me today, the state found a violation in the overlay and an overlap between the design that you had and the easement. So that's what he referenced. And I heard about the well issue a couple of weeks ago, but Mike Como referenced to me today that there was an encroachment of the old design and had to be laid out differently.
My understanding is that there has always been planned to have been an encroachment. I don't think that this can be achieved without the conservation easement land. And that's why in my communication to town council, we're looking to get a design finalized and then probably plan a meeting with the conservation commission.
So this is a commercial septic system, which is not a technical name, but it's based on volume and flow. But, so what you're representing tonight is that to make this function, it's going to have to encroach onto the conservation easement.
I'm representing that that's my understanding. I'm not positive and the design is not final.
Okay. Do you have an idea when you'll have this final design?
We're actually meeting later this week as a team between the consultants that are handling the water well and the consultants that are handling the septic permitting, and I could give you an update early next week as to time.
If you would, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
As a quick point of order, does this also take care of Agenda 3.2?
Yeah, correspondence with Vernon, yes, absolutely. Yep.
Nothing else for Vernon?
No, John had requested to be on the agenda formally as a speaker, but we had put the abutters, this is the abutters, of course. You are correct.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. All right, moving on. We have Local Marathon. They are scheduling a race for Sunday, October 20th in town. Have it there. They utilize the Rocky River Trail and come out to the London Baltimore Road, utilizing a little bit of Wisconsin. Chief, I assume that you're good with?
This is the area that they check in.
How are you?
Starts over the junction. In the nice, thing going on for several years.
Yep.
They have the adequate permits and insurance and traffic.
Great. Do we need to make the formal approval, or is this is just informative, correct? Yep, okay, great. Any questions or concerns about the route, the activity? Great. Muddy River Smokehouse liquor license. So the Muddy River Smokehouse, I believe, met with the planning board. Bill, were you at the planning board meeting?
No.
Oh, I wasn't there either. I was traveling. It was earlier in the month. I had to go out to Indiana.
Yeah, they came, it was continued.
But they came, I get the sense that everybody's good with this about the continued use of the restaurant. They came in mainly because their initial meeting with the planning board was an indication that the restaurant bar was really not going to be utilized as a restaurant bar and more as a catering or, for the weddings. But it looks like they are now looking to utilize that more in the manner that it was at Ship to Shore, and are requesting for the town to write a letter to the Liquor Commission regarding their license. So with that, I don't know if you guys have any questions or concerns about that?
Well, if it was a restaurant, then they have, do they not, can they?
Well, they initially came into the planning board, indicating to the planning board, because then this falls into issues of occupancy, especially parking given the location.
Okay.
The use as a restaurant and bar is now different from what they had initially discussed with the planning board. They came into the planning board to say, we want to use this more as a restaurant and bar than we had initially indicated.
As far as occupancy.
And the planning board seems to be comfortable with their discussions of what is going to get done on that property to accommodate that. So I don't know if you guys have any issues, concerns, or questions about that.
No.
All right, with that, I'll make a motion that the town will write a letter in support of their liquor license before the State Liquor Commission. Second by Hobie, all in favor? Aye. I'll write that letter, I'll circulate it, we'll get it done. Sure. Okay. That's here. All right, let's hold off on the Health and Human Services donations, let's go through warrant. We have the tax collector's warrant, which authorizes our tax collector, Sue McKinnon, to collect $3,586,991 for the town, on behalf of the town. Any questions about this permit? No. I'll make a motion to approve the tax collector's warrant. Second by Hobie, all in favor? Aye. You? Abatement forms. We have an abatement for 101 Halls Mill Road. And we have an abatement for 107 Exeter Road. Any questions about abatement requests? So, the issue with Chris Chrysalis was, so this was a long-running issue, actually going back to 2004 when the Foul Zone property was permitted, and there was a lot that was going to be built under a conservation easement that the Chrysalises bought. But under a conservation easement, it was sold independently, the development never got done. That lot basically became a non-conforming lot that he couldn't build on. He was basically charged, though, from when he bought it, it was conforming as part of the development, but then the development never got done. He was charged basically full freight on a non-conforming lot. And so we came up with an agreement with the Chrysalises to basically abate them a portion of what is in effect the overpayment that he made over a long period of time. Correct.
How much is that?
It was over $36,000, but the town agreed to abate 12,000 of that, and this would be part of that abatement.
Okay.
That's what it is. Any other questions, concerns? I'll make a motion to approve the abatement for 101 Halls Mill Road, sorry, Christmas. Second, by Hobie, all in favor? Aye. The second abatement is for online payment and fees that were charged improperly for 107 Exeter Road. Any questions about that? I'll make a motion to approve. Second by Hobie, all in favor? Aye. You good, Hobie?
Yes, thank you.
No, just want to make sure. Okay, two abatements, check. All right, so we have a tax collector deed for 399 Piscassic Road. This is the Blue Shane property that we have been dealing with going on a year and a half. This would basically empower our tax collector to issue a tax lien against the property that currently has more than 3 years of overdue taxes. Any questions?
No, we're just putting the lien.
Yes, in effect, we are going to take the property.
Yes,
Under
understood.
the
But
non-human taxes.
Points.
Yep.
Gotcha.
All right. I will make a motion to approve the issuance of the lien by Sue McKinnon, tax collector. Second by Hobie, all in favor? Aye. Great, thank you. All right. I'm going to jump here. MS 535. 535 is the financial report for the budget for 2023. Keisha sent this around earlier. It basically indicates that we did not pay more than the voters approved in terms of appropriations. Yay. So we did not break the law. It also indicates revenues for the town. This gets to get filed as basically our final revenues and appropriations for 2023. Any questions about the MS 535?
No, that's when we handed out last time also, right? This is the review.
Yep, just for final review. Correct, correct. I'll make a motion to approve the MS 535 for submission. Second by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You good?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right, prior meeting minutes. So we have the 423 minutes. 5-7 minutes. Any questions or additional changes, edits on those minutes?
Keisha, was that the one I made the notes on?
The 423 was something that's on.
Yep.
Yes.
Any?
That's fine.
You're good? Yep.
Was that the one that, Keisha, was it 423?
Yes.
I made the notes.
Yep.
Do you want to reference them for the?
Page 2, he added sentence 3, unanimously by the select board as to quantity and dimension. Mr. And then Mr.
Oh, okay, this was for the signage.
Signage was reviewed
Yep,
and
yep.
approved unanimously by the board
Got it.
as to quantity and dimensions.
Gotcha.
With the village.
Just clarification of that, okay?
And then because I knew Chris was going to be here because it said conservation committee, so I corrected it.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's listening. Appreciate it. Excellent.
I was looking out for you.
I'll make a motion to approve the 4:23 and the 5-7 minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Great. That one's done. All right, Health and Human Services donations. So this is a line item that we vote on every, that's part of the operating budget. The select board identifies typically charities in town, although there's no requirement for that, to donate town tax funds to. Hopefully you guys had a chance to review. Do you have any suggested
I would suggest that same contributions.
as last year?
And directing the money toward?
You want to meet the groups?
So,
I know
American
that.
Red Cross 500, Child Advocacy Center, Correction Crossroads House 1250, the Rockingham Community Action 900, and Rockingham Nutrition and MLW for Meals on Wheels for 700, 3350.
Okay. Any questions? You good with that? No question. All right. Is there a motion to approve those expenditures? Is there a motion? Oh, sorry. I did not move it.
I'll make a motion to.
Okay, motion.
I don't know.
Mark seconds. All in favor? I'm opposed as usual.
Thank you.
I don't like doing that with taxpayer money.
You're opposed to it?
Yeah, I don't, philosophically, I have a problem with collecting other people's money and then making charitable donations on behalf of the town. I'd rather just leave it, let the people keep their money. If they want to make charitable donations, they can make them themselves. Just,
Understood.
philosophical. Trust me, I appreciate what they do in town, and, I think people should contribute to them. I just don't like the idea of collecting other people's money to do it. All right, June meeting dates. Before we go to June meeting dates, a couple open items. There was a right to know request. Just want to get it on the record that the request came in. This is dealing with Conservation Commission. You guys are aware of it?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Derek will respond.
No, I appreciate you being here. I was going to call you if you weren't, to just make sure you're aware of it. Great.
Yeah, I think he responded last Wednesday.
Okay, perfect. And then the other open item I have, a Hoyle Tanner contract.
Yeah, as you know, we went through RFQ, we chose HTA, we said this is for the Pleasant Summer Street.
Yep.
We should just enter a contract, get that job rolling.
I know that you were talking to DES about, some of the language and everything. Do we have a generic contract that we can utilize?
I think they'll give us one.
DES or Hoyle Tanner?
HTA will give us one.
Great. All right. I'll take it upon myself. I'll reach out to Hoyle Tanner and ask him for a contract. This isn't real hard. I mean, what we're asking him to do is pretty simple.
I think we should just sit down with her, maybe you and I, and just talk. She knows the scope. And
Yep.
just start.
Well, they're familiar with given all the meetings that we had about scope.
And on the other one, the rain garden is here at the library. I'm still waiting.
Bill, were you talking here at the town hall and the library?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for DES to come back and say we get the waiver on the basis of design report. You need to do a basis of design report, but soak up the rain, the DES entity designed it, and it just seems kind of foolish. They agree, but they have to go through the waiver process.
So we just need a waiver on those?
Yeah.
Okay.
How hard is that to do?
How about?
I don't think it'll be hard at all. I think it's more bureaucracy.
It shouldn't be hard, so.
It honestly should be 5 minutes.
We've been doing this for a while, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome. I'll reach out to Hoyle Tanner and ask him for a copy of that, and then I'll get in touch with you and we can have a conversation. Great, thank you. Other open items that you guys might have?
Yeah, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the Celebration Committee.
Yes.
The police department
Did you
and the road agent for an exceptional job that was done over the past week. And it was a long weekend. There was a lot of folks that did a lot of sweat and worked from sun up to sundown, and thank you very much.
Yes, let me just say, to the Celebration Committee who have worked on this for basically 2 years, to the police department, fire department, who hosted an event at the fire department, obviously the veterans in towns, and who worked hard on this, all the people who opened up their homes for the home tours, thank you very much. It was a wonderful event this town had never done, and it went off incredibly well. To everybody in town who gave stuff for the historical night, thank you very much. That was an awesome, awesome evening there. To the Martins who hosted the contra dance, to Kent Lawrence who put the contra dance together in his usual self. And then to everybody who volunteered, because it was a long 7 or 8 days, with a lot going on. The 175th, I think, went off as well as we could have expected. And thank you to everybody in town who participated or attended. For a small town, we got one of the best Memorial Day parades around, so it was great. So thank you. Thank you very, very much. Yep.
Commission. Email.
Yeah, you got it. I had asked for it to be on the agenda at our last meeting.
What's that?
And
Yes,
that's
or no
email.
on their email.
To follow up on the email request from
Yep.
the previous meeting, we spoke at the last Conservation Commission meeting, and everyone on the board requested. an
Okay.
email. So I just wanted to give that update to you guys.
Thank you.
So at this point, we have one currently. We're requesting 6 more.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd like to just sort of start that process if possible. Next year, we'll plan to write it into a budget and figure that out, but if possible before then, we'd like to pursue that.
So let me suggest you send an email to the board with the names of everybody who would get an email, so we have a formal record of that, so there's no question about it. And then we'll probably end up talking downstairs or in the police to make sure that those get set up, and we'll get you the information.
Michael, do we just want to CC Lieutenant on that email?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, if you want to CC the police department and Sue McKinnon, just so we're all aware.
We can do that. We don't have to have a formal meeting to draft that.
No, you can go home and write it tonight. You can write it tonight, and it's not a problem. It's just a formal notification that these are the names that we're requesting. Again, just so we have documentation, and, with some, to be honest, it helps us with name spelling on the emails.
Oh, and the other thing that was brought up was trying to find an easement monitor report for this year.
Yeah.
They haven't been approved yet, so
Oh.
we're working through that process. We're
Great.
just are getting most of them back. We'll be going through them the next couple of meetings, addressing any issues, approving them, and then they'll be posted. I think yours might be the only one that we've approved so far, because it got monitored by us so early.
Okay.
So that one might be posted. If it's not, they'll all get batched together soon, just to clear up any confusion about that.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thanks, Horace. All right, anything else?
I do have one, and I meant to bring it up earlier. The new building / platform on the farm for coolers and refrigerators, freezers, do you know anything about that?
So it was the request was made for the town to basically, certify that it was in compliance with the building ordinances. Town council basically made some requests of information from the farm before the town would do that. Basically, getting more information to say, yes, it appears that it's in compliance with these statutes and definitions, or it is not. I'm unaware of any information coming back to the town with respect to that. And certainly no statements from the town has been made certifying that it is in compliance with the requirements. So, I would suggest zap an email to Derek and ask what the update on that is.
I'll take that.
But I'm unaware that we've gotten the information requested back, just to make sure that we understand what they're asking for and make the determination of whether it's in compliance with the requirements. Okay. Anything else? Shoot.
As far as the, I don't know if this is a moot point or not, but TPL sent the purchase and sales agreement to the town's attorney. He's reviewed it, and that's all there is right now. So just
It'll be on the agenda for June meetings, which actually, great segue into making our June meetings. If you guys can look at your calendars, 2 weeks from now. Let's take a look at the calendars. We'll go in a sec. So 2 weeks from now is June 11th.
That would be good for me.
You coach? Great. Well, June 11th. Start with that. Yeah, you're retired.
And his youngest son, too.
I know, but you're good looking. 2 weeks after that.
The camera's still rolling.
2 weeks after that is June 25th. The cameras are rolling, that's why I didn't say what I should have said. June 25th is following that. Do you guys have a problem with the 25th?
Saying the 11th and then the 25th.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
You good with both of them? Great. We'll do 11th and 25th. And actually, that timing's great because we'll avoid the July 4th for the next one. So, great. We're good. Anything else that you guys have? No. Anything else from the general public? What? No?
No.
Great. No. I'll make a motion to adjourn this select board meeting at 8:47. Second. All in